Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Welcome if it is your first time. I'm Melissa, I'm a registered dietitian, and here on my channel we talk about all things food and nutrition. Today we are talking about cultural food. So this is the third video in my cultural food series. I'm doing one every single month, and today we are talking about Venezuela. So I have to admit that this is not necessarily a new cuisine for me. I love Venezuelan food, specifically arepas, which we are going to talk about. But I feel like there's something that not a lot of people know about. And I just feel like when I mention arepas to people, they don't know what they are. My dog agrees. They don't know what they are. And I just feel like I feel so sad for people who've not tried arepas because they're such a wonderful, wonderful food. So today I'm going to tell you about them, and then hopefully you can find somewhere that serves arepas near you and go and eat them immediately after this because they're really delicious. Anyways, moving on to Venezuela. So Venezuela was actually discovered in 1499 by Alonso de Ojeda. Don't know if I'm saying that right. He was someone on Christopher Columbus's team. And he discovered the Caribbean coast of Venezuela, and he called it Venice because all of the houses were on stilts. So then Venice eventually turned into Venezuela. There was a large population of indigenous people living there, but there's also a lot of influence from Europe, obviously, because they are the ones that kind of found it. A lot from Spain and Italy, as well as some Middle Eastern influence as well. So kind of the two main dogs. I apologize if you hear strange sounds in the background like that. My dogs, pretty much every time I film, decide that it is the right time to start playing. So kind of the two really popular local crops that are kind of involved in most meals in Venezuela are corn and cassava. So those are kind of incorporated into most meals. In terms of how a day looks in Venezuela, they tend to eat a very large breakfast and then a very large lunch and then kind of a lighter supper. Most of the population of Venezuela actually lives along the Caribbean coast. So in terms of the food, there is a lot of kind of Caribbean influence. So there is similar flavors and kind of cuisine heritage as the Caribbean islands. And as I said, there's also some influence from Spain, Italy, and some Middle Eastern influence as well. So there are several very popular common dishes in Venezuela. Things like empanadas, which is also a common street food in other South American countries. Cachapas, which are kind of like crepe dishes, and a lot of different meat dishes like asada and things like that. But today, the main food that we're going to talk about, like I said, is arepas. And arepas are they're kind of like discs, I guess, made of pre-cooked cornmeal. And I kind of equate them when I'm explaining them to somebody as kind of like a English muffin, but made out of corn. So typically they're, about this big, and then they're cut open and they're stuffed. So arepas actually came from the indigenous people of Venezuela. Like I said, corn is a huge crop, so it's kind of incorporated into a lot of different things. So the indigenous people used arepas pretty much just as a bread, and then kind of slowly they started stuffing them with cheese and then got more creative as the years went by. And now that it's kind of like a popular dish around the world, or at least in Venezuela and America, there's not really any rules as to what you can stuff it with. You can kind of stuff it with whatever. And actually, back before arepas were a popular thing, an arepa was just the bread, and then once you stuffed it, it was called a tostada. But now they're just kind of all called arepas. So in Venezuela, the larger arepas are eaten as snacks throughout the day. And then there are also smaller ones that are eaten as like a side dish to a meal. So like I said, arepas are not really a new thing that I tried this month, but I did really want to talk about them so that you guys can go try them. My personal favorite place to get an arepa is a place called Guasaca, and there's one in Raleigh, one in Cary, and one in Durham, I believe. So this is where I went to get my arepa. And at Guasaca, they have both white corn and yellow corn arepas, and they are the larger ones. They're probably about this big, and you can really stuff them with whatever you want. I get the signature one, which is stuffed with a really deliciously seasoned shredded chicken, pico de gallo, black beans, and cheese. But you can put plantains, you can put beef, pork, avocado chicken, tilapia, just vegetables, really whatever you want. I have had arepas at a couple different places. I've been told that the ones at Guasaca are pretty authentic. There are a few different ways of making arepas, so I have noticed at the different places that I've had them, the texture of them is a little bit different. I've gotten them at another spot in Raleigh where the arepa itself is much more like thick and dense. And I've also had the smaller ones as well. So I don't think that necessarily one is more authentic than the other. I think they're just different ways of making them, which makes them different textures. So I hope that you learned something today about Venezuela and about arepas. I really hope that you go eat one now. In my household here, we tend to get arepas pretty much once a week. So I really like them. So I hope that you enjoyed this video. If you did, please give it a thumbs up. Let me know what other cuisines you would like me to talk about. Like I said, I'm doing one new cuisine every month, so I've still got a bunch more to go. So tell me what you want to learn about and what you want me to try. If you have not subscribed, then please hit that subscribe button. And yeah, I'll see you next week.